interested in cosplaying but haven't gotten into it, or are newly kind of getting into fandoms, we kind of like to hear your stories and your questions and what sort of topics you want to hit. We will start off by kind of just doing a general introduction, going all the way down. And what I'd like to know from our esteemed set of panelists is, how did you come into cosplay? Not necessarily, you know, how you first started, you know, Halloween or other times of year, but really, did you start at Ren Fair? Did you first go to a convention and then catch the bug? How did that evolve for you?
Hi, my name is Melanie, aka GeekyFit Online. For me, it all went back to the fandoms, and I saw the Two Powers, and I absolutely wanted to be Eowyn. So then I turned into Eowyn. That was one of my first cosplays, was the various versions of Eowyn, and I first cosplayed at the Gathering of the Fellowship in Toronto, Ontario, which is a Lord of the Rings specific convention that was fan run. That was a lot of fun.
I am Dude Vader, and I was a set photographer. I started cosplay when I was 66 years old because all of you in cosplay kept telling me I need to do this to better understand how to take your photos. So I just took a helmet, sprayed it gold, wore a Hawaiian shirt, and created Dude Vader. And my very first panel was in this room for Star Wars Celebration back in 2015, so it's great to be back.
Hi, I'm Lucy, and mine was, my first con was because of my children. I would make the costumes, and it took very much convincing by my husband, Miguel, that to go to Comic-Con. And because I was not a crowd person, so I put a Bellatrix costume together, and ever since I got it hooked. So here I am.
Hi, I'm Joe Pryde Cosplay. I started cosplaying about a decade and some change ago now with my partner, Brian, who's in the audience. Oh, sorry. I started cosplaying about a decade ago with my partner. I had been to a few conventions just as a con goer and always wanted to, and it just kind of serendipitously happened that we both wanted to get into cosplay together, so that's how it started for me.
I'm Bill Burnz with Bill Burnz Cosplay. I got into cosplay purely by accident. In 2014, I had a friend contact me. They were shooting a fan film for Batman that didn't have Batman in it. They said, "We think you'd make a pretty good Commissioner for it." I'm like, "Get out of here." I had my reading glasses on at the time, and I looked in a mirror down at the hall, and I'm like, "Oh, damn." And so...
Mike?
So from there, I took Commissioner Gordon to WonderCon. He was a huge hit, and it's been a blast ever since. I started cosplay at 51.
Woo! 51!
Good morning. I'm Patricia Photography of Chief Patricia Photography. I got into this because of Chief Geek Photography, Brandon Jackson. He's my mentor. He showed me pictures of cosplay and being at the Star Wars events. And so, being a retired Navy chief also, I said, you know what? That looks like it's something I really want to do. And so I started building my costume for the character Adi Gallia, and it's a journey. And so now I'm here as Rebel.
And going back to the head of the table, Jen?
I was like, hey, you guys, sit anywhere. I was hoping I wouldn't be like right so I got this seat. Anyways, my name is Jen. I go as Orange Go Fish, and I just kind of got into this because I kind of started hanging out with the family that cosplayed, and like, it's so awesome, and we get to meet so many cool people like you, so yay us, woo!
And my name is Bill Waters, and most times people will see me running around with my cameras or standing behind a megaphone, depending on the event that you're at. And I got into really going to conventions. I did back in the day, but then I got out of it for a long time. But then I went to WonderCon when it was an open, before it moved over to Moscow and San Francisco. And it's like, this is cool. And then just over the years, I got into photography and enjoying capturing all the amazing work that the cosplayers had done, and kind of trying to find a spot where they could kind of celebrate and where we could kind of build it out as a safe space as much as we can, at least in person, even if we can't always control it online. And let's touch on kind of that as to what your respective experiences have been with regards to the community as you started cosplaying and such, especially for folks who started cosplaying at an older age. Did you find the overall experience, and we can touch both real life at events and also online when you start posting your pictures and such, was it a positive experience? Were there negatives? If there were negatives, how did you personally internalize it or handle it to kind of help it become something that didn't kind of weigh on you? Amy, go ahead.
Yeah. All right, so online versus in person. Well, I first started cosplaying, I was about probably 22, 23 years old, so I did the majority of my cosplaying for that first decade of life. And for the most part, I found in person was really great. Like a lot of the people that Jen has now met in Chicago was like my family in Chicago before I moved away, and then now she found them as well. And so the family that I made through cosplay in person was great. But again, online, they're not always so nice. Like it's great to befriend like really wonderful photographers who can take some great photos of you and know how to pose you, how to angle you, because I don't know how to do any of that. I'm like, tell me where to put my hand, I have no idea. So they make me look great, but that's not always the case. People are gonna take pictures of you when you're not ready for it or from weird angles. And one thing that I remember seeing is, and it doesn't matter what you look like, what size your body is or anything, there's always gonna be someone on the internet who has something negative to say about you. And I still remember that I was so excited that I was in this big Marvel group shot from DragonCon. I was in my Psylocke outfit, I was feeling great, and it made it onto the Marvel.com site. And I was like, I'm on Marvel.com. And I'm going through the comments, bad idea, and I see some comment in there from someone that's like, Psylocke really needs to lay off the KFC. And I was like, so that kind of hurt me for a while, but a lot of my friends were like, just let it roll off your back, that happens to all of us, and the community themselves has been really positive. And then I took a decade off from cosplaying, and I just started doing it a couple years ago, and I was nervous coming back in an older body and a slightly larger body, like a lot of my spandex don't fit no more. But everyone's been super welcoming, and thus far, like I haven't run into any ageism type things, but I think that's also because a lot of us that started cosplaying are still cosplaying, and so it's just such a wider variety of people nowadays, and I was so scared coming back in, and everyone made me feel really, really welcome. So honestly, like the community's just been great, so.
And you look fantastic.
And as the audience said, you do look fantastic.
I got to avoid ageisms right off because of the helmet. You know, because there's nobody on the planet that knows who, you know, Chris Cannoli is. Dude Vader, you know, is this person that gets around in the outfit. And I gotta tell you, it's the cosplay community that embraced me so quickly. Just hanging out with other cosplayers, it makes all the difference in the world. So if you're ever stuck or you're feeling like somebody's not treating you right, just ask another cosplayer to come and pose next to you, and the community will light up to you.
Yes, I started like probably in my early 40s. I couldn't believe how welcoming cosplayers or the cosplaying family was. It was just, that's what motivated me to keep going. And so we've been at it ever since. But then online, yeah, we get our trolls here and there, and it's just, that's what they are, you know. So, and maybe because they don't understand it. So we just keep doing what we're doing and just don't reply or don't do anything because that's what they want. They just want a reaction out of you. So we just ignore it.
Anybody else like to comment to it? I see anybody else wanted to speak to us.
So for me, I started cosplaying when I was 19, and have been doing it for a minute now. And as like a newly, like I just turned 30 in January, so I've like been really retrospective, looking at like the past costumes that I've made and stuff like that. Realizing like how I am now reacting to negativity versus how I was back then, not as reactive, and really recognizing that like I do have a great support system of people that when I do encounter those negative comments, mostly online, like in person, usually I don't really see it or notice it. It's really like leaning on those people that I'm close to that I've met through cosplay that like really helped me not let that stuff get to me.
I started cosplay at 51. I was a historical reenactor. I did Old West reenacting for 20 years before that. So I was kind of doing cosplay before it was actually real.
Could you lean into the mic a little bit more? Sorry.
Damn you, Spider-Man. So I had done cosplay before it was actually a word. When I got into cosplay at 51, I was very particular about the characters I was going to choose because I knew, okay, I'm going to do cosplay. I'm certainly not going to do the Teen Titans. That's not going to happen. So I began designing all my cosplays around my mustache. Commissioner Gordon, J. Jonah Jameson, Ned Flanders, and I kept a particular age range. All these guys were between 40 to 60 years old. And if you're an older cosplayer and you're playing a character that is that age, you do bring a certain believability and gravitas to that character. I just turned 60, and here I am as J. Jonah Jameson, and there's a certain, people know exactly who I am, because, yeah, I am 60 years old. J. Jonah Jameson could be 60 years old. And some of you may know that I do a Walt Disney cosplay. And as far as some of the negative comments, there's been some really horrible stuff posted online about Walt Disney, and I try to ignore it. He was a complicated man, but I'm trying to cosplay the person that I knew when I grew up, the Sunday night shows of when Walt was in your living room. Uncle Walt. Yeah, Uncle Walt, exactly. But the cosplay community, this has been the best group of people I've ever met in my life. They are so giving and so welcoming. Just incredible. Thank you, guys.
Myself, just getting into cosplay, I'm 62. I got
You look fantastic.
I love you, Reba.
and that's my husband back there. And getting into cosplay, I bring up Brandon Jackson, Chief Geek, because he showed me what community is. And the support I see that he has received, I said, that's my community, that's my village. So this is my community and my village now. Cosplayers, anyone with an interest, it doesn't matter how old you are, what you wear. I heard in the earlier panel, do you, do what you're comfortable in. I have not experienced any negativity online. I was ready for it when I chose this character. Actually, that's what drove me. I'm said, bring it. I have received nothing but love from the community and from the fans, and even to talk about hopefully what the character will do next. And it's just, I want to thank you all, especially the chunk lady.
Jen.
Oh, yes. Well, I'm 56, and I get negative comments. But you know what? That's okay. I moved past them, but there's a lot of negative comments, especially like if I don't fix a picture, or if I look a little bit tired because I've been running around and stuff. And it's hard sometimes to brush it off. I'm sure some people may feel the same way. It's hard sometimes to brush it off, but I try to think about what that person who's saying something, or even in person or online, what their life is like, and perhaps they don't have any joy, but I do, because I get to have lots of friends and cosplay and wear cool costumes. So maybe they don't have a family that supports them, which whether my family supports me or not, I consider the cosplay community a family, and they're very supportive. Yes, thank you, all you guys. And so I just try to think, even though it's hard sometimes, because you know, after you hear things and you look in the mirror, you kind of like, ooh, maybe. And just working through that, I just try to think about the people who are saying or doing those things, and just try to understand what perspective they're coming from, even though that's really difficult, because you never know. Maybe they had a bad day, not that that's an excuse, but it's something that I try to think about. It makes me feel better faster, so I'm like, how can that be bad, you know? So that's what I try to do.
I think it's always interesting watching people when they find a character that resonates with them if it happens to be age parity with them, or if it's how they appear, or if it's something younger or older. But when it speaks to them and they get dressed up on it and they feel that joy, just kind of like being recognized and people are taking pictures, it's really nice because we so much live in a siloed world these days, especially coming out of pandemic. We're all kind of alone, and it's and now we can come out and be seen again, and people are kind of welcoming and saying hello, come on in, whether you're in a costume or whether you're getting back into playing D&D for the first time since you were in high school, or wanting to getting into comics or watching shows. It brings everything together from community to families, because it's all about remaining a kid at heart and still enjoying celebrating those things that you love. While we're going, does anybody have any particular initial questions or topics you guys would like to ask or talk about? Miss, please, if you want to hit the mic right there so we can hear you.
Just a real quickie.
Please.
I'm 75 years old. And I love being Princess Leia. But all those years I played ingenue. One day I looked in the mirror and went, oh, no longer ingenue. Uh-oh. So I had to craft my character around my physical shape. So Princess Leia, she's a little bit older. She's expecting, and she has a Ben in the oven. Get it? I did get one comment, and it was from a friend who looked at my picture and went, is that a baby bump? Sweetheart, at my age, there'd be 3 wise guys on camels with gifts and a new star in the sky. Thank you.
It's been fun with some of it's been fun with some of those characters, because we remember Princess Leia, and now we have General Leia as well, right? And so some of these characters have also aged and evolved with us and become even more badass than they were before. They can still celebrate all the range, but it gives more options, right? And everything else. Sir.
So when you get into this, do you make your own stuff? Do you buy stuff? How do you build the costume?
Who would like to speak to this one? Yeah.
Well, some of you who know Dude Vader realizes that I can't leave my costume alone. So this is like the 600th version of the outfit today, and fall in love with 3D printing. That is the sort of the clue to the new universe if you really want to get into readjusting yourself. And then make sure that you work with other cosplayers at things like charity events, and while you're waiting for the next kid to come up and hug your leg, you can trade stories with them about how to make costumes.
And I just want to add that too, because like when Jen first asked me to be on this panel, I was like, I don't feel qualified, because the fact of the matter is the majority of my costumes I haven't made. Part of that is because I'm not good at sewing, despite having gone to school for theater, but also for a time aspect. So if you're out there like, I can't cosplay because I can't make my costumes, you can buy costumes online. Like that's something that didn't exist when I started cosplaying in the early 2000s. You couldn't just go to like procosplay.com, that's one of the many options, and buy a pretty good looking costume, nor could you go to Amazon and find like a really good spandex suit. In the case of this one, I actually just hired someone who works in a costume shop in Pasadena, because I'm like, I want to do this character. So you don't have to know how to sew to cosplay. It's about putting on the character, feeling confident in it, and having fun in it. So if you can't sew, don't let that stop you from cosplaying, because it's still a lot of fun.
Yeah, I think there's all the whole range about you can cosplay, or you can get a costume for your cosplay however you want to. No way is wrong. The only time there's a time wrong, if you're going to get into the costume contest and there's a craftsmanship category, that's a different subject. Other than that, you do you. Because some people are great at prop building, but they can't sew to save their lives. Other people, vice versa. Me, I have no time and can't do it for anything, so I have to commission everything I do. So I think everyone, there's a gamut, so don't let anything stop. If something strikes you, go for it.
Thrift stores.
Thrift stores.
Yes.
Head to the Goodwill and keep an open mind. There's amazing stuff.
There you go. I mean, it's a great foundation. Is going out to the thrift stores. You can get stuff for like a couple bucks here and there and combine something. Sir.
Yeah, following that, I started also like on a budget, whereas like, okay, I had all the time, but you know, I didn't have the money, so I did that. Now I'm like, okay, I have a pretty sizable budget, but the time is something that I'm currently fighting, where it's like, all right, a full-time 8-hour job. You know, I recently found out I'm a morning person now, so like wake up very early, go to work, and then chill for the rest of the day. So I'm just wondering, like, in your like real life schedules, how do you manage like between like, okay, I'm gonna spend time on cosplay between the other responsibilities that you have now?
Yeah, who carves up for the time that, who are builders or who are sewers? How do you fit it into your regular life, family life, everything else?
Well, to me, I do set a time. Like, of course, you know, you work and get that out of the way, and you know, just limit your, if you can, pour in like 2-3 hours a day, and give yourself, you know, if the con is coming, it's like, okay, I should start here, and start a little bit at a time. Don't expect it to do it the same day. You know, just plan it out. It could be done. And that's how I've done it. It's like, I don't like con crunching kind of thing. So I end up doing it anyway, but the majority of it is done because I plan it out.
Okay.
Yeah, a couple of hours at a time.
Also, keep in mind, I worked on Superman and Star Wars. The costume department is frantic. It's not going for perfection, it's going for camera ready. So just think, stand in front of a mirror and think, okay, somebody's gonna take a 1/125th of a second of photo of me. What do I need to actually have right for this time?
Yeah, that's something I'm trying to get over with like perfectionists, where like you look close and you're like, this sucks, but then like when, you know, the 5-foot roll is just like, that's something I'm trying to get over.
You know who's a really good person to follow is Night Mage. He makes his costumes like bada boom, and then he recycles the stuff he makes into other costumes. And his costumes, camera ready, they look fantastic. But if you see him in real life, you're like, oh, I remember that, and I remember that. But the way you put it together, the way that you wear it, the way that you present the character, it's going to make all the difference in the world. And not thinking about the tiny little details will probably bring more joy to you.
Thank you so much. You're all inspiration.
Thank you. You know, one thing else to keep in mind is there are lots of foundational pieces. It's just like, for women especially, just like the little black dress in real life, a good black bodysuit, and suddenly you can do anything from Scarlet Witch, Black Widow, Black Cat, just throw on some different accessories, and you've got a gamut of stuff. So you can, invest in one good suit that's comfortable to wear, and you can just build out, guys, again, a lot of times it's suits, other sorts of things, but things that can mix and match. Think how many black suits are in anime. You just change out the tie, and now you're wearing a briefcase, and you're 10 different characters.
I wanted to add something on to what the young man was saying, and also to validate what you're saying. I was able to go to the Mandalorian 3 premiere, and I met Mr. Filoni, and I showed him a picture of me in this costume. And he's, oh wow, that looks great. On your shoulders, you got it just right. I bought this. This is a combination of two Reva costumes, but I am going to work toward actually making it. So buy it, camera ready, it look good.
Yeah.
Sir.
Oh, hey, how's it going? I had a kind of an interesting question. I was looking for tips on two topics, gender bending and race bending, with being considerate to everybody as individuals. So
let's start with gender bending. Anybody want to speak on gender bending first?
So one of the cosplays that I do the most, I'm a big fan of Kitty Pryde from the X-Men.
Oh, cool. Yeah.
That was actually like one of the first costumes that I had made. It was like the original design that I did for myself. I think gender bending is really fun, and as long as you're respectful, like I don't see any problem with it. It's a great time.
I personally like gender bending because I'm kind of a stickler for I want to look like that character, which is not by any means a requirement, that's just my brain. But I like gender bending because I can take characters that I love, but since I'm gender bending, I feel like I don't have to worry about the accuracy of it as much. So I feel like, if I want to be male, I'm going to be male. And I have a President Loki, I did an Angel from X-Men. I personally, gender bend, yeah, I love it. Have fun. It gives you a chance to be more creative with how you piece it together, I think, too.
There's no variety. What's the point in keeping up with cosplay? So gender, race, bring it all.
I agree.
And I think once they came out with the series What If, that opened up cosplay to so many people.
Absolutely.
So don't ever let that get in the way. The first rule of cosplay, there is no wrong way to cosplay.
And as far as race bending, I think it's important to be respectful. And
Absolutely.
I feel that changing your skin color is wrong, in my opinion, unless it's blue or red. Because that is like literally probably a non-race. It's like an alien, so that I feel it, or green.
Yeah.
So
Green,
I feel that's
yeah.
different. But I feel that
Turquoise.
that would be very in for me. I try not to speak for anybody else, but for me, I feel that would be disrespectful.
Absolutely.
So that's just my opinion. So.
Yeah.
I've seen a number of really good Nick Fury cosplayers.
Mhm.
The guy with white, he just did the costume, and his personified character, he did this change just on his skin.
But Nick Fury used to be white. No, right. No, I love the new Nick. But anyway, so that was my opinion.
Patricia, I saw you.
Okay. When you cosplay, I thought it was a great idea to have a backstory. So I cosplay as Dr. Patricia Leona McCoy. Leonard McCoy is my great-great-grandfather. I am the only member in the family who became a doctor and joined Starfleet. And then someone said, well, tell me about more. I said, okay. Well, when Grandpa would come home on leave, he'd tell us all these stories about people he's met, things he's done, and their relationships. But he never ever told us how he met Grandma.
All right, cool.
I love that.
Of course, thank you.
Hi. Oh, I'm not used to a microphone. Okay. So my question is that when you're cosplaying a person younger than you, how do you navigate through the negative, stereotypes and comments?
Anybody like typing?
Well, for me, it's like I embrace it and say, okay, well, we just got older. For example, Charlie Brown and Lucy is just embrace it. It's like, just imagine they could have grown up. We'd like to put that twist to it. That's what we like to do.
For me, I had put together a couple years ago a Teen Titans group, and I had asked a variety of people that I had met through cosplaying over the years, regardless of age. And for me, it was just I love cosplaying together with people. It's my favorite part of it, and I didn't really care to see age about it. I had some people who were in the group that were do I count? And it's it doesn't matter. We're just having fun, and if you like the character and making the costume, that's what it's about more than anything for me.
And if you get somebody that really gives you attitude, ask them how old that character that they remember is today. The likelihood is that that'll adjust their thinking in a hurry. Because if Christopher Reeves were still alive, he would be my age.
Yeah. I think, again, as well, talking about, because ages can go both ways. People playing older characters, younger characters. And I think for a lot of folks, everyone has their own way of handling negativity when it hits, whether it's reaching out to the support system, checking with friends, going, hey, what's up? And it's always fine because you're not really looking for external validation. It's more reminding you that, like at work, you can have a marvelous day at work, and you have one idiot at the end of the day that's really a jerk. And what you tend to take home with you is remembering that jerk, not all the wonderful people that are out there. And I remember a number of years ago, there was at DragonCon during the parade, there was a larger fellow playing Captain America, having a great time interacting with kids. This lovely shot of him smiling. Got so much hate online for Captain America isn't fat, blah 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 blah. But all of the cosplay and fandom community just jumped on the trolls like a ton of bricks. And there's just so many people be out there to help support, because if you're enjoying it, it will come through. I think a lot of people and part of it is being comfortable in the character that you're playing. So if it's younger or older or whatever, be comfortable in it. And that's one thing to kind of keep in mind, because some people for me personally, I would cosplay characters, that have a tummy. I'm barrel chested, it is. Other people love to play all sizes, whatever it is, but that's how I would stay comfortable. But if they didn't like the age, bugger them, because I was having a good time.
I feel like at the end of the day, haters are going to hate. There's always going to be haters no matter what. There's probably people on the internet who hate on Pedro Pascal, as if. So they're just going to be there, and unfortunately it's just a matter of, I guess, thickening our skin to it and staying with the people that support us through the end, because they're really the ones whose opinions matter the most, not the haters.
And they are the majority.
By far the majority.
You know where you never find a hater? A charity event. Cosplay at a charity event. Then it's not about you, it's about the kids, it's about the elderly, it's about the people in hospital beds. They will never hate you. They will love you for the rest of their life.
That's true. And about younger characters, it is true, cosplay what you like, but it just maybe prepare yourself. There's a really cool cosplayer to follow, Viv Sai, Vivsai, and she is in the Over-30 category, but she does a lot of anime, which is a lot of younger characters. And she just says, I'm sexy, what, is there a problem here? What, you know, and she just keeps doing that, you know, so, you know, you're grown and sexy. And
I also had one other question. So I have narcolepsy, so I'm kind of in that disabled category. How do you, for people that are disabled when it comes to like, and has like more mental health kind of like problems with anxiety and stuff, what are some tips that you can give those people?
I go in for this, but I want to see what the panelists have.
I personally have disabilities myself, and usually I bring my service dog with me, but because I'm only going to be here a few hours, I didn't. It's wonderful because of the ADA. A lot of opportunities are more available. Usually conventions have quiet rooms or quiet spaces where they sometimes have even counselors there that you can go to and get some assistance or help. That can be easily looked at whenever you go to a convention and see what is available, but also, you know, friends and other people that you can see in the community. But the ADA services is a really big help, and they have their booth that you can go to.
Also, by nature, and I think I probably speak for some cosplayers out there, I, by nature, am an introvert. And cosplay for me is a huge amount of therapy to get out there. It's the only way I really connect with people. Yeah, okay, I play an abrasive character here, but it actually helps me to connect with people and, you know, give back. So take that for what it's worth.
I think also having a friend, a handler with you as well, whether it's another cosplayer or ideally someone that's not, that is familiar with you so that they can kind of keep an eye on you. So if they see you starting to become anxious or whatnot, if you don't detect it in yourself, and they can go, hey, let's go have a sit down for a bit. And that way they can also, while you're on your way to the quiet room or whatnot, if people are coming for shots, they can tell people, it's like, hey, we'll be back in a half hour or so, we'll be back on the floor. And that you can focus on extricating yourself. Also, again, if you have a friend that's a photographer that's around and stuff like that, just lean in and go, I need some downtime. And they will help get you out of there. And they can play the bad guy, because if you're already anxious and now you have to tell people no to photos, that will only increase it. So have them play that role for you.
Awesome. I also personally like doing group cosplays, because I find like then you're with other people in that group, the focus is not just on you. Like I don't really, like the only reason I'm in a costume today is because I'm on this panel. Otherwise when I come to conventions, unless it's like Dragon Con or something, I do group cosplay with friends because I find it very intimidating to be out there just by myself. But if there's a chance I am by myself, I always have to change clothes. So if it becomes too much, I can go get out of the costume and just blend back in with society again.
Anybody else?
Awesome, thank you so much.
Yes. Great halo, by the way.
Thank you. My dad made it. It's actually a car headlight.
That's
oh my
awesome.
gosh, it's amazing. So I'm 16 and I just started cosplaying and I've been to a few conventions already. And I haven't had any experiences like this myself personally, but I do want to be like prepared for the future. How do you deal with some of the unsavory characters you might find at conventions, you know, like creeps and all that?
I'm 6'5", 250. No, I have no problem.
Have
Definitely have a friend around who like knows to help you escape when you need to escape. Because there are times when you will get in a conversation with someone and it's going on for 20 minutes and you can tell it's not ending and you're just like... So, you know, sometimes if it gets uncomfortable, definitely having like that handler, that friend, same with the other thing, it's very, very helpful at times.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Always, yeah, and if someone like tries to touch you or something without consent, absolutely report them to the convention because that is absolutely not cool or allowed.
You know, when
I would
I-
suggest always going to a staff member or a crew member, and at different conventions, they're noticeable in different ways. Sometimes it's the same color t-shirt, sometimes it's a vest, sometimes, you know, it's in different ways that you can
Staff
see.
badge, what have
Staff badge. But I would look for that also if you can't think of anything else.
So like
Just when you
reporting.
first come in, notice what t-shirt people are wearing that are staff or crew or official volunteers. And they're not all heavily trained, but they are trained on what to do if someone needs assistance or they are being bothered. So.
I think one thing is also, creepers of themselves typically do not have a great deal of bravery. So if anyone is approaching or trying to interact with you in that way, just saying sod off, and then going to security and stuff and letting them know. If you can get a picture of the person, that will often help as well. So you don't have to just try it. Heavy set fellow, t-shirt, jeans, that's half the convention. But you can help identify or show where the person was. And the other thing is, especially when it comes to photographers, if you are new to it and they're asking, hey, let's go off over here for a shoot, have either be comfortable with that person or have a friend with you, but don't wander off into a dark corner by yourself.
I do also want to mention, out of fairness, it's not always men. It can be women too. You have to be very, very careful. Men or women can also step over the line. So don't feel like you can't say something to either gender because it can happen either way.
Yesterday, after the DC shoot, Melanie Jackson, there's other gentlemen they're talking about, they're both military.
Yeah.
This lady walks by, she goes, I don't cool guys, I want to get pictures of young guys. They takes a picture and walks away.
And that is equally inappropriate. And sometimes, we have to remember men and women both have inappropriate behavior.
Oh, yeah.
Not to play devil's advocate, but there are some people that are special needs, and sometimes they don't realize when they're doing something wrong. That's also an important thing to factor in. Is say, hey, that's not cool to not do that.
Yeah.
Very true.
I think a lot of
Very true.
I think that a lot of times you can kind of get a read on the person is whether it's that sort of social awkwardness, and what you can also do with them is either if you feel up to it yourself, or again, go get a staffer and walk the staffer over to them, and you can deliver that feedback to them, and that way it's like, hey, just so you know that this isn't particularly cool, so I'll let you know, and then the staffer can help. If something goes sideways with it, they can step in. But again, it's kind of a personal read where if you can spot that sort of spectrum or whatever it is that they're an awkward one, because we see lots of those people as well. And we've seen cases where people will get pilloried, where it's just a very awkward person, but then it's finding a way to help give them the education so they can be a good participant versus someone that's really out for no good. But any other comments here before we go to the next?
One of the trick things to say, I gotta go to a panel. It completely disarms the person that is trying to stop you, because that's sort of like, get out of my way, I've got a panel to do, I can't.
That is great. That is so great.
And actually, just like the lady in the audience mentioned a while ago, you owe nobody nothing. No one has, just because they're in costume or not in costume or whatever, or carrying a camera, you are not obliged to take their picture. You are not obliged to stand for a picture. It is what you're there at a convention having a good time. That is all, you trying to enjoy yourself is all you're obliged to. And the rest is on your best.
Thing for everyone to remember, cosplay is not consent.
It is not.
Thank you. That's true. Thank you so
I
much.
just didn't look at the original article. I still have that website. Also for the line, I think Batman will be the last question by the time we get back there.
And I just want to pop on Dude Vader's. I've never thought of that, but you could totally cosplay a panelist attendee, a panel attendee being late. So that's perfect.
That's a great cosplay. I dress in that regularly.
I love that.
Yeah, trust me, when you think you're leaving the building And the first time, it takes you an hour and a half to make it 150 feet because of photography going on. As soon as you say, oh, I'm late for a panel, man, you feel like Moses.
Miss, what we?
Oh, okay. Hi. I wanted to say is, one of the things I find interesting as people get older is that you actually have the musculature to be actually do the super feats that, are in the comics. I have never, and when I see cosplayers that are older, I also understand it because I love swords and I love watching series about swords like Forged in Fire. All the people that are using swords, all the people who are making swords, they got muscle. And they're older, or even the young guys, they have to have that in order to put that off. So it's actually, if you see older people and they're doing Captain America or they're doing something else, they actually have, that's actually what Captain America would look like. He would not be the skinny guy, thank you, Chris Evans, we love you, but yeah, that's not who he is, The other thing that I wanted to just say to you cosplayers, do you feel freer now that, you're, because, as we're older, we don't want things really super tight or whatever, so we don't wear spandex. Because I feel like illustrators, spandex like in the stuff I see some of the younger people who are able to engage in, right? So do you feel like you can go and you can wear things with folds, things that have, texture and movement, because, you're not having to be focused on being this character the way they look in the comic book.
I got something to add to.
I love your question.
Being mature. Bodies, as females, our bodies, every size, shape, and I do have one that I made of Batwoman. And I get self-conscious of my lower stomach, because of the age. And I've learned not to care, because people don't see that. So I have to, it's within me. I've seen other women, large, small, wear spandex. It depends on what you are comfortable in. Age doesn't matter.
I'm not, and by the way, when I made the statement, it isn't against spandex, as in the spandex that's so tight, it has no folds, it has no movement except to be like straight, and these very young bodies who can carry it up, it's great, but
Well, a lot of people do adaptations of costumes and make tweaks on it for whatever their particular tastes are, because there are also younger people that normally the character they're portraying would maybe have a very sexy costume, but they modify it themselves just so that they're more comfortable with whatever they like to show or not show as stuff.
I was gonna say, for me, it's at this point more about what I can physically comfortably wear for a longer period of time. One of the worst times of my life was the one time I dressed up like Emma Frost, and it took like 3 days to get the feeling back in my toes from those stilettos, and that's when I was in my 20s. So now I go for comfort, because I don't want to be like limping around a convention with my back aching. So that's why of all the different Captain Britons, I chose this one, because I was like, I could go for like armor, or I could wear a Ren Fair costume. Ren Fair costume will last a lot longer. So for me, it's more physical comfort now versus like what it looks like, because I don't have time to be like feeling like I'm going to die while walking around a convention. I want to have a good time.
And the advantage of being older is that the people that love to see your cosplay, they really give you a lot more leeway when you're moving around. And you learn to say, okay, if you want to give my hand a lift up the stairs, don't let your ego get involved. Just let them help you up the stairs. It really helps, because they're helping you because they want to help you.
For me, I recently has been taking the character before the costume. I'm J. Jonah Jameson here. I look like him. People are going to expect a reaction rather than looking at the costume I'm wearing. I mean, this is the most comfortable thing I have, and I happen to be the most agitated person in the world. So when they see this, I'm going to put the character before what I'm wearing, because when they approach me, they're going to want to see that response. So recently, I've been studying the character I cosplay, and then the costume for me will come secondary.
I used to do skin tight and like Power Woman and like all of that. So now I buy medium Zentais, or if they're really from China, I buy large Zentai because I'm like a large woman in China, and there are folds and it's comfortable, and I'm okay with that now. About 10 years ago, I was like, no, it has to be perfect, and now I'm like, that is not going to work. So I just get a little bit bigger, and so it still has the look and the feel, but it's like a lot more comfortable. But it does, like mine have folds now, and I'm okay with that because it looks the same, just not skin tight. So
Yeah, well, it's also because people who went through comic books and all that other stuff, they just don't know clothing.
the expectations are, yeah, a little high.
Hi guys, I'm not really totally supposed to be up here because I'm working, but
I don't see anything. You go right ahead. You guys, whatever you want.
I was never here.
You're fired.
I like your TARDIS shirt. I like your
Pictures.
TARDIS shirt.
Oh, well, thank you. I started cosplaying with my kids. We raised them nerdy and proud, and so I cosplayed with them to have something, you know what you do with them. And I didn't realize subconsciously that I was cosplaying as a lot of gender bent roles. My first thing ever was like Negan from Walking Dead. Instead, I made it Chic Negan because it was like a really cute, you know, leather jacket and scarf, because it was more comfortable as a mom for me to be in looser fitting, you know, things that hid a lot. My age never came into play. I never even thought about it. I was more concerned with, you know, body things as being a mom of, you know, 3 children. And so as I've grown older, I realized that I don't need to cosplay as characters that are naturally in more comfortable things. It was up to me being comfortable, because the amount of love and community that I felt and the pride on my kids, where they're like, my mom is Negan and she made that, you know, as their whatever characters that they are. The rest of it doesn't even matter. And the community of actual people that love the characters and love what we do and love just being a part of it far supersedes the idiocy of someone that has no idea what they're talking about when they're talking about your form. So not a question, just more a statement of, you guys all look fantastic. You guys all are displaying pride and being a part of something that we all love to do. So no matter what age, no matter what you look like, you guys are great.
Awesome.
Oh
Thank
my
you
God,
so
I
much.
love you.
I'm going to drag you on this panel next time.
And there's like 5 minutes left on the way.
Oh yeah, 5 minutes. Thank you. That's why Batman's going to have the last. Yes.
For the longest time, I was Disney's Snow White until I grew out of my costume. And I thought, that's the end of Snow White. I must say how you all inspire me to think. Snow White became a great queen one day. And she does expect children. And all I have to do is alter my Snow White costume to Queen Snow White, and it'll fit right in. And I thank you for the inspiration. I really appreciate it. Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah, Patricia, I'm going to think about that too, the backstory. That was a great feedback info.
Real quick, just on the creeper thingamabobber, a little trick that me and my friends did is we would have like a safe word. So if we had friends standing around and we're in a conversation with somebody and we're like, this person's kind of creepy, we might just start saying the word Robin randomly in the conversation and they know to pull us out. Or we would do a little dance where we would like take our thumbs and stick them out like this, and that way anybody looking at us, oh hey, we need to pull that person out of that conversation. And that was another way to get rid of the creepers really quick, if you had somebody come rescue you, because you can get stuck in sometimes and you don't have the ability to look over like, oh hey, like that was just a way for if people are watching you. But the question that I had for you guys, first off, I apologize if it's already been covered because I did come a little bit late, but I took a break from cosplaying for a while, partly because, you know, I did get older, but then also, you know, right now I'm cosplaying as Batman, and I was getting tired of things like, oh, you're the Black Batman, and, you know, stuff of that nature, which I'm getting over. Like, from 2007 till now, I was always have, like, full face everything, so you couldn't see what color I was, no matter what character I was, but I'm trying to get used to the idea of you can see who I am kind of thing. But my question for you guys is like, since, like, I travel here, how do you guys, like as an older person, you know, I'm working, I'm doing my professional life, I like cosplaying, how are you building cosplay communities with people in and around your age where you're currently located? Because like I have to come all the way out here to see folks like this when like I would like to have like friends in my area that I can like build costumes with and then go somewhere or something of that nature. So like how are you connecting with other professionals and your cosplay, I guess.
My first question is, where did you come here from?
Illinois, a place called the Quad Cities.
I'm from
Quad
Chicago
Cities?
myself.
April 15th. April 15th, Quad Cities Comic Con. I'll be there. No, seriously, come. You can sit at my table. I do the contest there.
Okay. I'll be there.
You got a friend in me.
I like that already.
Also, on social media. Social media is huge. Facebook, they're different groups. They're also, we cosplay, we come to conventions, but we do charity work. That's the best. So look for organizations like that, and then you will find more people in your area. You may have to travel further out to a suburb or wherever that event is, and then people will be contacting you.
Yeah, in Illinois specifically, how I know her is through people with a group called Costumers or Cosplayers? Costumers with a Cause,
Yes.
and they do charity events. I know they have chapters in Illinois and Florida, but definitely connect with them in Illinois because they're a lot of great people.
And after this panel, go downstairs, you'll see the banners at the far end of the room, the backdrops, that's the San Diego Sci-Fi Coalition. All around that group are the other groups, the 501st, the Kids Can Cosplay. Go down there and just start getting cards from all those groups, and they will help you find specifically what you're looking for in your location.
Is it far into the back side of the convention hall around row 800 or so? There's Harry Potter and 501st and Ghostbusters. And two things, yes, they're local to this area. However, many of them have chapters all around the country. They can help get you in touch. But also, again, hit up Jen, and she, again, directly in your area, you go to a couple of those events. They'll have fan tables there as well, and you'll have people coming out of your ears before you know it. Absolutely.
Thank you.
Thank
And
you.
as we are wandering towards our time number one, I want to thank everybody. It's been a long weekend already. If you got up early on Sunday morning and came out here, you have a thing? Yeah, hit. As Jay Jones sent him some warm hugs.
That's funny.
Who are you, madam? This is my wife, Jane.
Hi, Jane. All right, so
I have plenty of bug spray, yes.
let's go down the line and do an introduction as to again your name one more time and where they can find you on social media.
Oh, okay. I'm Jen. You can find me on Orange Goldfish or Over-30 Cosplay, Over-40 Cosplay, Over-50 Cosplay, Over-60 Cosplay, Over-70 Cosplay. That's me.
She handles all the postings and stuff on the Over-30s and all the rest of them's cosplays. So
I apologize for being a little slow the last week and a half, 2 weeks. I've been everywhere. Yeah, so I apologize, but we're going to ramp back up.
hey, you worked for me at a show in Kansas City last weekend.
Yes. Oh, no, it's fine.
My name is Melanie, and you can find me on pretty much any social media platform as GeekyFit. If you want to send me a note, say hi, I'll follow you back.
Dude Vader Hero on Instagram, and be very cautious with getting too popular. I got pulled off Facebook because I had too many million hit views, and they thought it was suspicious that I used, bots to get all the hits. So just look for me on Instagram, and also all my friends, they keep tagging me, and thank you very much for all of that.
For me, it's Capuchino Cosplay, and it's joint with my husband Miguel. And we're Instagram, Facebook, and TikTok. So please follow. We love our TikToks, yeah.
You can follow me at Joe Pryde Cosplay on Instagram, and then on Twitter, Joe Pryde Art and Cosplay, because I also draw.
I'm Bill at Bill Burnz Cosplay, and that's where I'm at.
I'm Chief Patricia Photography on Instagram and also Facebook. And thank you all for being here, and this has been wonderful.
And my name is Bill Waters. You can find me on everything as Bill RW3. You have Instagram, Facebook, what have you. And if you're ever looking to get connected with groups and stuff like that, hit up anybody up here or myself. Have a great rest of your Sunday and a great rest of your week.